So Matthew 28 verse 20, you may know this by heart, you probably do. Words of Jesus in the period after his resurrection, in the 40 days before his ascension. 40 days, nearly 6 weeks. I wonder whether the disciples were getting used to what they thought was a new paradigm, appear and not appear. And was that how it was going to be forever? Is that how it was going to be? But no, Jesus pulled them in and Jesus explained to them that something else was going to happen. Jesus told the 11 disciples to go to a certain mountain in Galilee. The disciples went to the mountain, and when they saw Jesus, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teach them to obey everything I have commanded you. Surely I will be with you to the very end of the age." So you probably know that's known as the Great Commission. So we read again in another place in the Bible similar words. It must be a different occasion. Well, some might think it's the same occasion, but I think it must be a different occasion. This is in the book of Acts. The scene is different. They're eating together. And as we read it, we'll understand that it was the very last they saw of Jesus on earth. On one occasion, while Jesus was eating with the disciples, he gave them this command: "Do not leave Jerusalem, but wait for the gift my Father promised, which you have heard me talk about. John baptized with water, but in a few days you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit." Then they gathered around him and asked him, "Lord, are you at this time going to restore the kingdom to Israel?" Jesus said to them, "It is not for you to know the times or the dates the Father has set of his own authority, but you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and to the ends of the earth." After he had said this, he was taken up before their very eyes, and a cloud hid him from their sight. The disciples asked when. The answer was it wasn't for them to know what God will decide. It wasn't the first time that they had been told to wait and see. Previously, they had been in the temple with Jesus, and we read about this in Matthew 24. The disciples remarked at the magnificence of the buildings. You know, just like when you go to Barcelona, shall we say, and you look at the Sagrada Familia, you're gobsmacked by the beautiful buildings. And they were remarking on the beauty of the buildings, and Jesus turned to them and said, "Uh-oh, they're going to be knocked down. Not one stone is going to stand on top of another." So later, in private conversation, Jesus, the disciples asked Jesus when it was going to happen, when they would know that Jesus was coming again, when would be the end of the age. Jesus goes on to explain there's going to be times of real torment, of distress, earthquakes, wars, inhumane actions. As I read that chapter this week, I just thought about our world today. I thought about the inhumane actions that are happening in the Middle East. I thought about the inhumane actions that happened within Europe in the 1930s and 1940s. And continually back, it's not a peaceful place, this world. And Jesus says something very significant in one of the verses. The whole chapter is full of the descriptions, but there's one significant verse. He says, "The gospel of this kingdom will be preached in the whole world, and then the end will come." So, we're in a rundown to Christ coming again, and he tells us to get on and preach to the whole world. And what is World Focus? World Focus is, it's a group of people who pray. I've added it up. It's about 26 people who are on the WhatsApp group. So World Focus is a WhatsApp group. World Focus is, I hope, all of us keeping the world in focus. Well, one of the members of our group, Paul, he sent a text message into this WhatsApp group. He said this: "And the Lord is the one who goes ahead of you. He will be with you. He will not fail you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed. Whether you're on the front line or in the background, the Lord sustains you and will never fail you, even when you feel lonely." I thought, yeah, I recognise that. That's a version of the Bible. So I looked it up and I couldn't find that complete text. So I had a chat to Paul and said, where did he go? Oh, I say, it's Deuteronomy 31, verse 8, ESV version, plus Paul Wilcox paraphrase. And what I liked about was it really touched my heart, is the words, whether you're on the front line or in the background. Because Paul is on the front line. There's his banners over there. You see those in the city centre. He's a home player and an away player because he has a ministry in Hungary. But I am on the background. I am working for OMF, but I sit at a computer. I send money all over the place. Lorna works for OMF. She's involved in the training and development program. So I think between a real evangelist, Paul, I'm sure if you cut him open, it would say evangelist in the middle, just like a stick of rock. But then Lorna and myself are completely the other end of the scale, administrative, supportive. And, you can't do this stuff without spending money. So there you go, that's the sort of stuff we do. So can we all go? Can we all go to the ends of the earth? Well, no, I don't think we can. Because, even think about an army, it has support staff. We need people to support the work. We need people to pray. We need people to support, to send people away. So when this church sends somebody abroad, we have a prayer, we commission over them, we ask them to commit themselves, and we commit to stand behind them to pray. So we can all learn about what's going on in the world. We can all take what we hear, we can then bring it to prayer. We can actually encourage others to go. So wherever you are in your Christian faith, wherever you are in your age, here is a place that you can be involved. We're going to hear from somebody in our 20s today. We're going to hear from at least a couple of us who are in our 70s. So, that, I think, demonstrates you're never too old. Okay, so the programme this morning is going to be a report by Sam and Katie, who have recently been to Africa, and then some interviews with people, and hopefully the kids over there are drawing on the ground on a map to see where everybody is. So I hope you like the pictures as you came in. So really, it's Sam and Katie, over to you, wherever you are. There they are. Thank you very much.
Sam's just getting ready to show you all his Uganda football top. It's lovely to be with you all this morning. Swap places. So 2 weeks ago... Yeah, it's bright. Can I come over here?
It's blinding, yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, Sam and I got back from a very short week's trip to Uganda in Central Africa. If you could go to... Oh, have you got the clicker?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So we're going to talk to you today about where it all started, this ministry that we've been growing over there, explain to you what it is, because I know it's very new to everybody. We'll talk about where we are now with the ministry, what our plans are, where we see ourselves in the future, how it will grow, and also how you guys can be involved if you'd like to. But first of all, thank you so much. I know many of you didn't know much about the trip or that we were going until we were going quite soon. But we had such a huge support from the church. Thank you for your prayers before, during, and after, and the the messages that we were receiving really encouraged us. And thank you also for the financial support through the church and individuals that gave. We were so blessed that we received the exact amount that we'd been praying for, which covered the trip and really, really encouraged us. So thank you very much.
She says the exact amount, but I didn't plan for quite a few different vaccines that we had to have. So the fact that you guys gave over the amount that I thought we needed was what God thought you needed. So that was good.
Yeah. So where it all started, this first picture is myself when I was 18 years ago. I was 18, got the date wrong. And this boy here is Toffer, short for Christopher. So I went over there 18 years ago and stayed for 6 months and lived next door to Toffer on a gap year scheme where we were working with the local church and schools. Toffer and his family had just lost their mum at that time, and so it was a really significant time of practically living with them, and we became really close and have stayed in touch ever since. This is now Toffer today, 29 years old, with his wife Mary. So we've always kept in touch, and after I left my gap year, Toffer's had a very difficult childhood and teenage years with a stepmother that was very unloving towards him. And so in 2019, Mary and Toffer came across a boy called Joel, who was 5 years old at the time, and he was abandoned at their church. Nobody in the community knew where he had come from, could contact his family, and so they decided to take him in because something in Toffer, because of his own childhood, really empathised with this boy, and he didn't want that to be his story. So they invited Joel into their family, and God started giving Toffer and Mary a vision that they were in the future to take in many children and start to grow a children's home. So do you want to explain about the home?
Yeah, definitely. I think when we're thinking, she's very humble about the role she played in a lot of those children's lives in 2006. When I went back and discovered just how much of an impact she made on them and that local area, I was blown away. So she's very humble when she talks about that. She was a mother to those children, a real mother. And when we go back, the way they respond is in that way. So it was really special to be there. In 2017, this is something that we've been sowing into and working alongside Toffer and Mary for quite a while. 2017, 2021, Joel arrives. We have an opportunity to get land, and therefore then we have an opportunity to build a home. Katie and I first kind of sowed into it, but a few different churches, including I think HBC, All Saints, and just God coincidences where I meet someone for a totally different reason, drop in this just because it's exciting to me, and the money comes in to finish the roof. So it was a real miracle house. But it has 3 rooms, one of which is used for a kitchen, and then 2 bedrooms. One is for Toffer and Mary, and the other one is for 7 children. Yeah,
it varies.
It sounds wild, but it's a really nice room with loads of bunk beds and mosquito nets everywhere. And so when everyone is home from school and everything, it is a little bit cramped, but it is also a really nice home. So that happened in 2021, and then in 2023, Kachina becomes an official NGO. Before that, it was called Living God's Way Home, and now with the official NGO title is Kachina Freedom Ministries Limited. And that is a miracle in its own. Everything is a miracle. But yeah, you can see God working through it the entire time, which is really exciting.
So this is Toffer and Mary in the middle with their 2 own children. This is Wilberforce, he's 9 years old, and their little girl, Esther Hope. She's now 4. We had the honour of naming her when she was born, and I felt that's the name that God gave me, Esther Hope. And I after found that God had also given Mary the name Hope and was hoping that we would call her Hope. They'd lost a little girl a few years previously, and God had told her that this was Hope with the gift of the new daughter. And Hope, I didn't also know, is the translation of Toffer's Ugandan name Subi. So it's a really special name. This is their family. And then the next slide is the Kachina Freedom Ministries family. So in the very top, William and Christine, who we call Mama Susan, are another beautiful couple that came and to help them join their home. This is their daughter Susan on the left, and Jonah, and Sarah, we don't have there. So this is another family that's joined them. And then Emmanuel, Joel, Grace, Sherry-Ann and Khadija are all children that they have since taken in since they first started with Joel. So as you can see, it's a very growing family in the building that we built, and they're kind of running out of space already. But they are a very open home to many people in the community. We heard that many people nearby them, if their parents can't afford to feed their children that night, they'll say, go to Mary's house and she will feed you because she will never turn anybody away. So they are the heart of the community. Everybody knows the love that they have, particularly for children. So whilst we were there, just for a quick week's visit, we were there particularly just to meet them, to be with the children in person. So we spent a lot of time at the home playing with children. We took out many gifts from them, and we had so much fun. We got to cook with them. But also whilst we were there, we visited their local church, and Sam did an amazing service there. We got to pray for many people. We visited the schools they go to.
Can I interrupt you? There's some really important facts on these pictures. First of all, Toffa missed that penalty. One important fact. And if you're wondering, the ball is just here, and the basketball hoop is that little bit of banana leaf just there. But it worked out. It was fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupt. Carry on.
So it was really good family time, just to show the children that we love them, and we're not just these strange Mzungus, as they call us, these white people that just send money and are at the end of the phone. But it was just lovely to join them in family.
These are 3 areas that we went to. Vision Medical Center with Emmanuel is where all the children attend. It's just a small couple of rooms in the local town that their house is about 10 minutes away from. He has a great vision to see that medical center be extended, and we would love for for Kachina Freedom Ministry to one day sow into that. That's part of what we'd love to do and what Toffa would love to do. This is his church where I'm preaching just there. I feel like we should get some of those banners. I know it's an extra thing to put up in the morning here, but they look good. It's got walls and it's got a roof. That's basically it. But they love Jesus and they worship. And this one here is Pastor John, who is pretty much a father to Katie. And she spent a lot of time with him back in 2006 and different things. He is the most humble, beautiful, gentle man that you could meet. But that is his school grounds. He runs a small school as well and has done since, I don't know, way before 2006.
Yeah, about 20, 30 years.
Yeah, cool. So it's just a few things that we were doing. I'll go, yeah. So this is the vision, the tagline of the ministry. We came up with it with Toffa, and it's about strengthening families and communities through the love and actions of Jesus. Toffa is an amazing evangelist. We walk around the town and we meet so many different people that say, this is such a godly man. And when we're meeting those people have been impacted by food that we've sent out during lockdown when no one could leave their houses. Toffa was given special permission by the government, a little card, to take food that we gave into the community. And just those small things, and Toffa going door to door, sharing about Jesus, has brought so much hope. But also, we see such favor with man in that area. When we talk about seeing favor with God and favor with man, he is seeing both in abundance. So that is our vision. So this is how one of the ways we strengthen families.
Yeah.
Go on.
So there's an abundance of... No, I wouldn't say that. There's a lot of struggle, as you can imagine, in Uganda. And one of the main struggles, of course, is finances and not being able to send their children to school because they're not government schools. They have to pay school fees, which most of them can't afford. This lovely family here, this lady in the blue in the middle is called Aisha. Her and her husband were really good friends of Toffa, and her husband particularly really cared for Toffa when he arrived in the town a few years ago. Her husband sadly died in a car crash about 3 months ago. And so Toffa and his family have really taken in Aisha, and these are her 2 girls, Sherry-Ann and Khadija. What often happens in Uganda when maybe a husband dies, there's no income, they can't afford the rent, the landlord will soon kick them out, she can't send the children to school. So at the moment with Kachina Freedom Ministries, they're helping them with their rent and school fees, but they're taking in these girls to the families. The girls came and kind of had a holiday at the house the whole time that we were there. And we would love for them to join Kachina Freedom Ministries and move into the home in the future as it grows and as we can have more support and things. But that's a way of keeping families together. We don't just want to take in children, it's where we can, keeping the children with their parents and strengthening families.
So what often would happen is those girls would no longer attend school, they wouldn't get the education. One of the things that Kachina Freedom Ministries wants to do the most is those kind of essentials: education, medical, and food. If you can do those three things, people can thrive. And so that's what we want to do in that. So they would be without school, eventually be kicked out of the house. They wouldn't have the home. They would have to move in with a grandmother or a relative. That kind of thing happens. So if we can do something to keep that family strong, we will do it.
And the second thing is strengthening communities. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that they are brilliant at, they are all entrepreneurs. If they have a front area in front of their house, they will turn it into a market stall, or they will grab some coffee and plant coffee and begin to sell it in different ways. And so one thing that they do is schools is a massive part of the community, because the government doesn't pay for schools. So schools are small businesses, and that pours into the community. What we used to dream of is making our own school. And then we suddenly realized, why do we need to make our own school if we can just, as Kachina Freedom Ministries, sow into those that are already established and growing and have their own visions and already see God's favor on them. And so this is the school that the children go to. So by providing school fees for those children, we get to see this school have a greater hope and future, which will directly impact the local area. Wobelenzi is the town.
And we met the headmaster, a wonderful man in the white shirt here called Caesar.
That guy there.
His motto for the school is raising a godly generation. It's a lovely Christian school. They go from primary 1 to primary 6, so year 1 to 6. And they are fantastic. And this was us arriving and meeting the children.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we don't have. This is Katie in her element right here. That was a really fun moment.
That was the first time we met Esther Hope, the little girl on my there. We just arrived at the school, which is really special.
Yeah. So another really important fact to share with you. I saw on the Friday email that Ed said that he had to drive through flooded roads. I can put flooded roads into perspective. Those were rivers that we had to cross. I was up all night because I knew we were going to have to drive those roads. I was up all night because there was a thunderstorm and about 4 hours of nonstop rain. And I woke up and I was like, Toffa, are we going to be able to make it? And he said, yeah, of course. And I was like, but we did. We made it in a people carrier. It had a little bit of raise, but that was it. But that was exciting. Those are the roads down to what we call the garden. So the garden is basically a place where we can grow food to bring back to the house for the children, because that's one of the best ways to save money in one sense, live off the land. Yeah. So this is one of the roads that takes us to the land that is about, an hour.
Yeah, it's about 40 miles away, but it takes about an hour.
Yeah, about an hour to get there.
Yeah.
This is us having the opportunity to purchase some land while we're there. So this is basically a man that owns some land, and his wife wanted to sell some of that land, partly so that they could get their children to school, but also partly so that we could begin to grow crops and different things. And so in this moment, this is a really special moment of surveyors and chair people, landowners, all having a meeting about how we can annex some of the land from this gentleman so that we can continue to feed the children back at the home. What is significant about this and is slightly different is Toffa and this hopefully will share some of the humility of Toffa. He was keen to put the name of this land that we purchased into Kachina Freedom Ministries, not his own name, something that isn't done. Because the better thing to do is put it in your own name so that it becomes part of your A, inheritance, but B, if you could sell it, you could get money. So Toffa is so keen to stay clear of any money himself that he does that. And people think he's crazy for it. But that brings him such favor in the communities because suddenly there's something different. And so we got to buy that land. But the other thing that shows Toffa's heart is, and I'm trying to explain it the right way, we don't want to take this land from this man because it's part of his inheritance. It's part of his way to get food. And so we actually pay small amounts of money for them to farm and just keep an eye on the land for us. But also if there is food there, ripe and ready, they can take it, not sell it, but use it for their family.
And they will always continue
really
to live on the land as well.
Yeah. So it shows Toffa's heart, I think. And it's really exciting. It was a really fun moment. Albeit very hot.
Yes, so they grow, in the middle there's matoke, it looks like a banana, but they kind of mash it and it's a sweet potato. This is Sam and Mary collecting it to take home to feed the family. They grow beans, that's what's in the hand, lots of different types of beans. Maize, potatoes, there's so much food. It's such a lush place of vegetarian just growing everywhere. It's amazing.
Coffee is, I see OMF is showing some coffee work. It is massive because we love it. And so the fact that it grows in abundance there is a great opportunity to be able to harvest it and sell it so that the money can be sown back into the family and the home and different things. Go on.
A few years ago when Toffa had got the land, God gave him a dream of these beautiful white flowers and he didn't know what they were. And he felt like this dream was linked to the land. The next day he was on a boda, which is a moped that they ride on. And he saw these flowers and realized they're coffee trees. And he felt like God was saying, you need to plant coffee trees in the land. So that's how it started. And so we would love to see in the future that we could sell that coffee for them.
All of this have so many exciting God stories, so we aren't able to portray that necessarily in this time. But over at the table afterwards, just ask us, what is God doing? And we can share with you all the different things that he is doing.
So looking to the future, in the middle is a huge pile of bricks that Toffa has made from mud.
20,000 bricks.
20,000
Enough
bricks.
to make 2 homes.
Yeah. So these are ready to be cooked. They kind of leave a hole in the middle and make a large fire. They cook it overnight and it's a bit crazy. So the bricks are made. The first picture here is actually the back of their house. They also have this land behind. And they would love to build, they need to build an office. It's a requirement for being an NGO over there. That would be just a small building on the edge of their land. And this is a place where people can come to have meetings, families that want to talk about school fees in a separate place so that people don't have to come into the home so we can keep the children safe.
Can I get everyone to do something practical? So you see these bricks here. In your head, build them into an office because those bricks will turn into an office in that exact location. So can you imagine an office space there? Yes, no, maybe? I can sometimes.
Do you want to try clicking on, there's a short video there. Oh, it's working. Hello, we are here at Kachina Freedom Ministries. This is the wonderful Toffa Kavumbi.
Yeah. Hello, how are you everybody? We are so glad to be with you and to be with Mum and Dad in Uganda. Yeah.
Toffa has just been showing us around the land behind his home. We have walked through many places where they are growing banana trees, sweet potatoes, beans, anything else?
Coffee trees.
Coffee trees.
Yeah.
There's mangoes and jackfruits. And we have just come to this part of the land here, you show, where they are building, they've already made many bricks. These piles of red are many bricks that are made. They're waiting to be cooked, and then they'll be ready to build the next building. Toffa has made hundreds and hundreds. This is just some of the bricks that they have made. And they already own this land. So the vision is to use this part of the land to build an office space. The office space will be used to welcome people that want to visit Kachina Freedom Ministries and learn more and help more. And it is a space where people can visit without entering the home, so the children will be kept safe. It will just be a small meeting room where they can do those sorts of things. Yeah. And then here, Topher, do you want to explain?
Here we are hoping to build the building for the children. And
Another home?
Another home for the children, because so far right now we are having many children and we are in a very small place.
Yeah.
So we have a big land, and we feel like if God provides, we can build another home beside, and also to have a playground for the children, and also to have some other rooms for the helpers, those ones who stand with us and work with us for Kachina Freedom Ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you. And this is a very short one here. So Topher and Mary already have some very good friends called Mama Susan and William.
Yeah.
They are a couple that already support the family and look after them with their own children. So they would love to build another home behind us one day where Mama Susan and William can live, and they can take in more children as Kachina Freedom Ministry grows, and it would all be within one compound with a playground, as you said.
Yeah.
Now the children currently play on a path outside the house where they are cooking, so they would love to have a bigger clear area to play and have fun.
Wow. Yes.
So obviously one of the funnest ways to be involved is just come along on the story. We have obviously the short term to see the office and the homes built, so that we can start doing a lot more in the community. We have the long-term goals of multiple homes, of a larger amount of land, of coffee production, all those things a little bit further in the future. But even if you don't give, or even if you only pray a little bit, come along for the journey, because it's a really fun story, and an exciting story of what God is doing through one man, and the favor that he has. But practically wise, pray. Pray in particular. Topher and Mary have such big hearts. They love Jesus so much, and they are so humble. That isn't necessarily the common thing in Uganda or Africa. There are people that are, but what we want to see is Mama Susan and William to catch that heart for God. We want to see them hungry for Jesus, and that humility that Topher and Mary share. So when you're praying, pray for that. Pray that people would be really, really impacted by the difference of Topher and Mary.
Yeah. And then if you'd like to consider giving towards the project, we would love to basically raise a sponsorship scheme where many people can be involved with sponsoring children for their school fees. We would love to do another evening in HLC maybe in the new year to share more about it and to officially launch that in a way that you can communicate with the children and write letters. But these children, many of them aren't in school now this week, so if you'd like to start giving from today, we do have a way that you can do that at the table.
Can I say quickly?
Or to give into the other project, yeah.
So there are children that need school fees. And so if you decided to do that today, we do have the infrastructure for you to give through a UK charity that is then sent directly to them for those school fees. So there is that opportunity to do that, but there is also an opportunity to sow into that in the new year as well.
Yeah.
Just to put it into perspective as well, because I think a few people ask, when we're talking about building an office, we've already got some of the materials. So it's £700 to build an office. That's nothing. It's so exciting that we can do so much. To build another home is £2,500 to £3,500. Such a little amount.
Yeah.
And so when you give that little, just small amounts, it does make such a massive difference.
Yeah. And the school fees are about £12 a month per child for their uniform and their school fees. And you can sign up with an email address today, just so we can share you more information as it grows.
Yeah,
but
come
thank
and grab
you
us afterwards.
so much for listening. Sorry we've gone over time, and thank you for
I don't know if we have.
your
I
support.
don't know the time.
Thank you very, very, very much. I just love the way that it's an integration of the word and the deed. We're going to turn now to listen to Fran, who's going to come up with a little presentation wherever she is. Can't see Fran. Yeah, she is. Just so you know, we're working towards finishing early today, so you don't have to rush away. You can grab a coffee, and then you can visit the various displays we've got, and you can gather around and pray. So please don't rush away at the end. Fran, over to you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. I have the privilege of being very close to New Hope Baptist Church and a very special group of young people. New Hope Baptist Church is a young church, and they need spiritual help. I recently went back to support Orshi's husband. Sadly, she passed away, and I needed to say my goodbyes to her, to visit her grave, to support her husband, and also her very close friends. Miriam had led Orshi to the Lord when she was just 14, and they were at school together. So bless her. It was challenging, and I thank God that I had the opportunity to go. Andy gave me a message to deliver to the church, which was well received. And Shandor has given me a message to give Andy and Sue, and also Hull Baptist. Dear Andy and Sue, thank you very much for your kind and encouraging words that Fran forwarded to us. We are thinking of you with grateful and thankful hearts. Thank you for your love and prayers. We are looking forward to the possibility of seeing you next year, and would be delighted if you would minister within our church. He then gives Philippians 1:8-11. God himself knows how much I want to see you. He knows I care for you in the same way that Christ does. I pray he will keep on growing, and you will fully know and understand how to make the right choices. Then you will be, when Christ returns. And until that day, Jesus Christ will keep you busy doing good deeds that will bring glory and praise to him. Greetings to you and to the whole community of the church. For the kingdom and the king, Shandor Troth and the Brotherhood of New Baptist Church. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. So we're talking there about Debrecen in Eastern Hungary. Yeah. Sorry. We're now going to move on to another place in Hungary. We're going to talk to Paul. Come on, Paul. Come and grab a microphone. I think we're just seeing the range of what people are doing. So this is totally unscripted because I left the script at home. So Paul, you've come into working in Hungary recently. You've been worked all over the place, I know that, but tell us a little bit how you came to go to Hungary.
It was an accident, and I went out to see a man that I've been working with in Amsterdam. He'd been in Hungary 14 years, and Sue kept saying, "You need to go and see him." I said, "I've finished with it. in the end, I went to see him, and I could see that he hadn't got long to live. It was a Youth with the Mission connection. When I got there, the people in Youth with the Mission said, we're talking about the Hungarians, the gypsies. They said, please do not venture into gypsy country. It's far too dangerous. Mm-hmm. The next day, I was picked up by a huge Hungarian and taken 2 hours outside of Hungary, outside of Budapest, into gypsy country. Taken to a house, left there with 2 gypsies, and half an hour later, 3 of the biggest gypsies came through the door. I mean, talk about Big Daddy. They got nothing on, you know, big. They just hugged me and they said, in their language, welcome.
Oh, lovely. That's so wonderful. I mean, one of the passages we read earlier, Jesus' words would go to Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. I'm going to paraphrase that for you. Where you are, the district around you, the people who are different, and everywhere else. So, yeah, thank you, Paul, for that. So what actually do you do when you're over in Hungary? Or you actually do a lot by remote work as well, don't you?
Yes. Every single day I'm on the... I'm tapping to Hungary. We've got a little community going on there. I take my caricature stuff and my artboard over there. When they first saw me doing this, they called me the painter. And I do it for free. Don't ask for any money. It's just like I do in Chester here on the streets. And they saw me doing it, and Corey, who's short for Cornelius, he's the young pastor there, he said, you can do it here, because we haven't got anybody doing this. So I sat there, I got my translator with me, and she was telling me how to do certain things. And for at least 2 hours, I sat in the outside and inside, just doing caricatures. I didn't need to speak. Just did the drawings, and they were doing the witnessing while I was drawing.
So it's quite possible that you will cascade what you're doing onto others, and eventually they will carry on and do the same thing. That's really, really great. Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you very much, Paul. I think we're running a little bit late, so we're going to get Sam and Ollie up now. Thank you very much, Paul. Let's have the microphone back. Ollie and Sam, over to you.
Hello, Mr. Proctor.
Morning, Sam. How are we?
I'm good. Just show our hands quickly. Who knows what Ollie does?
My hand's not up.
I thought there would be a few, though. You don't know what to do. So, Biblica is who you work for and what you're going to talk about now. I'm sure you have an idea of what Biblica does and who it is. So, can you share briefly?
Well, Biblica's mission really is to provide the Bible and to knock over important electrical equipment, is to provide the Bible in modern and accurate translations and creative and compelling ways so that more people around the whole world will have the opportunity to be transformed by Jesus, which is quite cool. Yeah, I think.
So, it is very cool. So, when did you first get involved? How long have you been with them?
I've been with Biblica 7.5 years.
Fantastic.
I spent my working life in the Christian music industry and Christian publishing industry, and then 7.5 years ago, I got dragged in. It's been fantastic.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, a question I think everyone would love to know is, what is there anything particularly exciting that is happening when you go to work in the morning and you're thinking, I want to talk about this because this is happening in this country and it's significant because? Is there anything like that that's happening that you could talk about?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll start at 50,000 feet. About 5 years ago, there were 3,000 languages around the world that didn't have a word of scripture in their own tongue. And Biblica and a load of other Bible translation guys, Wycliffe and YWAM and people like that, got together and decided this isn't good enough. We need to sort this out. And we're now down to about 2,000 languages that don't have the word. We've set ourselves a goal that by 2033 we'll have at least a New Testament in every known language of the world. It's a big ask, so you can pray for us for that. because we need a bit of that. 10 years to get the clock ticking. So that's the 50,000 foot. But then I could talk about she came to faith because of reading a Bible, which of course is illegal in the country that she lives in. And she was reading the Bible, and God opened her eyes to who his son is. And now she's leading an effort to translate the Word of God into various languages of her country, which don't have it yet, which is really cool. So there's a bit of everything all in between.
Very good. That's brilliant. So what you said we could pray for that, but what in particular for you can we be praying for? And how can we find out more? What is the best way for us to find out more about what you do and the stories that you're telling?
Yeah, definitely. So come over there. I'll be standing there. I'm the tall person standing in the corner, not Barry. I'll be the tall person in the corner. Come and meet me there. Head to biblica.com. That's the sort of the corporate spiel, which is fantastic. Pray for me. Pray for me to be able to focus well on my work, because I'm the kind of guy that spends a lot of time daydreaming and imagining what if and that sort of thing. But sometimes I need to actually do some work about that as well. So help me concentrate on that. Is that an amen, anyone? Ed? Yeah? Pray for my family as well, who are really kind and gracious and release me to do the thing I do. I travel a fair bit, and of course that has a price to pay at home. So pray for Chantal and Amy Lou and James as they manage without me. I mean, I make this sound as if I'm like holding the whole thing together at home.
Yeah. So you are a great father, so I know.
Thank you.
A question that I wanted to ask Ollie, but maybe a question that you can ask him, is what does that travel look like? So I don't necessarily want you to answer now because we don't have that much time, but I would love, maybe I'll come over or stand next to you on the table I'm at and ask that question, because I think that would be a really interesting answer. Is there anything you want to show us quickly before you step away?
Come and grab one of these. This has got a little QR code on the back. You can download a really cool version of Mark's Gospel, beautifully presented, and it basically opens as a web app on your phone, so you can share this with your friends, with your neighbours. Did you know that in the UK, 40% of people who aren't Christians yet said that they would read the Bible with us if we asked them to? 40% of the people. Wow. So yeah, cool. Go and download one of these. That's a challenge, isn't it? Oh yeah, and we've got some the latest newsletter. You can grab some of these. If you really want the annual report from 2022, anyone? Come on, I can start tossing these out.
That's brilliant, and they're all at the back.
They're all at the back.
We won't necessarily do it, but instead, I just had a message that it is your birthday today. So
38.
38, very good. I'll believe you. I'm almost 38, so that's what's happening.
You're looking well on it.
I don't think we should necessarily sing Happy Birthday unless Andy vetoes it and says we should do it. But we could just give him a round of applause for him being 38 and all this from Biblica. Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you very much. As I was putting the pictures together that we saw earlier, I realised I hadn't got a picture of Ollie's ministry, and I was chatting to Chantal, and I said, I'm sorry about that. I could have put him sitting in an airline seat. Yeah, that's exactly right, she said. He travels a lot. So it's Lily and Hugo. Over to you, guys.
Hello.
Hello. I will be interviewing our lovely Hugo first.
It's an honour.
No problem. So, Hugo, you are affiliated with Open Doors. Do you want to tell us a bit about the purpose of that organisation?
Yeah, sure. So Open Doors, it started off quite simple and has grown arms and legs. It started off as one guy who had a bit of faith, who wanted to make sure, a bit like Ollie actually, that the Bible was accessible to lots of people across the world where it wasn't accessible. And as he did that, he started to learn a lot more about the persecuted church. Just a show of hands, when I say persecuted church, do people know what I mean? Yes, if your hands up. Okay, not everybody. So basically, a quick scripture here, Matthew 5:10-12. Jesus says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And then Peter later on, 1 Peter 4:14 says, "If you are insulted for the name of Christ, you are blessed because the Spirit of glory and of the Most High rests upon you." That word insulted means to be treated with disrespect or scornful abuse. So across the world, and we read about it lots of times in the Bible, but across the world today, people are being persecuted just because they believe in Jesus. And I'm on about like extreme persecution, like shot, killed, some of the worst things you'd imagine. And that's what Open Doors seeks to support. They seek to step into those areas where it costs a lot to have your faith and really try and make lives of those people who believe in Jesus better than they are. So that's kind of Open Doors.
So clearly this cause has landed with you and touched your heart. You're now a rep for Open Doors. What inspired you to be that?
So back in 2008, actually, when I was still young and fresh in my 20s, and I was watching what was happening in Syria, actually, and not many people were paying that much attention to Syria at the time. But there was a lot going on there, a lot of persecution, a lot of battle, a lot of conflict, all from the fallout of Iraq and everything that was going on there. And Open Doors were really heavily on the ground trying to support the broken and small church that was there at the time. And it just really touched my heart because it wasn't in the media. No one was really talking about it. Even as churches, we didn't really capture what was happening there as much, but Open Doors was, and it really touched me. And not just that. Everyone who knows me, I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm a technical, analytical nerd, and I like details. I like data. And Open Doors doesn't just come with the fluff and the love and the, oh, let's be good Christians and go and help people. They actually come with real insight. This many people are suffering. This church is this size and needs this support, and it's really accurate and to the point. And that really touched me, and ever since then I've kind of been close to it and then agreed to be a rep for our church in regards to it.
Mm. So Open Doors works at a national level and then also clearly an international level. What kind of things get done? What practicality side is there?
Yeah, so they're really wide-reaching from what we talked about before. They've not forgotten their original passion, which was Bible distribution. So, Ali, it might be 1,000 next year because they help you out, so you never know. So they do a lot of Bible distribution across lots of different places, making it accessible for lots of people. There's a lot of training support, so some of the stuff that we talked about with Lorna before, where they're supporting leaders, trying to help them. I loved what Sam and Katie spoke about the Mzungu. Anyone who's part of World Focus will know that I challenge us a lot to make sure we're not being Western saviours, that actually we're supporting the people that are on the ground, who are the authentic, doing the work and giving the support. And that's what Sam and Katie spoke about before, and that's what Open Doors is really keen doing. They get behind the local leaders, the local church leaders who know the people that they're ministering to, and they give a lot of support to them. Obviously, disaster response, there's been a lot going on in the Middle East recently, so they're very heavily into that. Awareness, like I said, 2008, not many people aware. It's become a lot more aware, but advocacy and kind of getting governments and churches and businesses involved in kind of supporting the persecuted church. And I think the one that's been more recent, which I think is really powerful, is the emotional well-being. The trauma that sits behind persecution, when you've watched your dad executed in front of you because he said he was a Christian, when you've watched your mum be killed because she couldn't recite different biblical passages, it's all of that kind of stuff. And kids are growing up with anger, hatred, wanting to get revenge. It's really deep. So actually the emotional trauma support has become a real big arm of Open Doors recently, and it's having a really good impact.
Wow, such a blessing. And then on a more individual level, do you have any stories from your time with Open Doors that you could tell us?
So I was thinking about this, and one of my biggest hopes, hasn't quite happened yet, but I think it's going to happen because I'm going to talk to you all now and you're all going to do this, is that I'd love us to attend as a church one of the events. It's something I wanted to do personally, and it's something that I'd love us to do as a church. So I'm just going to show it quickly. So what they've been doing over the last few years, pre-pandemic, but even more now since the doors have opened, is they host events in different parts of the country, of the UK and Ireland, where they bring people who are actually part of the persecuted church, be it people from North Korea who have to keep their identity hidden while they're there, be it people who are in the Middle East who had their family murdered, or the whole kind of works. And they come over and they give you firsthand a real insight and impact of what's going on. Now, the sessions are in November, so we've missed the boat on this year, but I'd love us as a church in mass to go to one of these sessions next year. That's what I'd love to do personally, but I'd also love you guys to come with me. Got a bit of stuff over there, so you can come and learn a bit more about Open Doors. But I'm going to have my phone out, and I'm going to take names of people who are like, yes, I want to get involved with that next year, and I'm going to keep your names, and we're going to do that next year. But that's something for me personally, and all of us as well. Yeah, but anyway, do you know what?
Sign me up.
I will sign you up. But before I sign you up, and before we go, because I know we're short on time, I've known Lily since she was younger than my daughter. And she's grown up, and she's this beautiful lady now. But there's some super exciting news going on that I would just love you to tell everyone here about, as well as me.
Yeah, oui. So, I am headed to YWAM in January, late January. I'm saying this in faith because I don't actually have my place yet. The application process is still going through, but in faith, I know that God's got a place for me. This is what he wants for my year. Yes, so I'm going to Norway for YWAM.
So you said YWAM. Ali mentioned YWAM before.
Yeah.
What is YWAM?
So YWAM stands for Youth with a Mission. It's an incredible missions organisation that supports and trains and equips young people aged 18 to 25 so that they may grow in their relationship with God, learn more about the Bible, learn more about their own faith, and then go out and serve and become evangelists for God, yeah.
Brilliant. And I've got one question for you, but before I ask that last question, Lily, are you going to be around for people to come and ask you, why do you feel led to this, why you be called? Okay.
Yeah, I have so much I could say. I know we're short on time today, so I will be perched. There's a tall one in that corner. I'll be the short one in this corner. I will be perched. Please come and talk to me. I have a flyer here that I can be handing out for everyone, which tells a bit more about YWAM as an organisation, and also about my fundraising events, because that is going to be really important to sending me.
And just before you go, tell us very quickly about that fundraising event. I think that's really important for people to hear.
So on the 9th of December, I will be running an evening. It's a Saturday evening at HLC, 6 till 8. So please bring your kids. It's going to be a family-friendly event. I'm going to be sharing a bit of my own testimony, more on actually what YWAM is, what I'm going to do, because I'm doing a creative version of a DTS. And I'll be raising funds because financial support is one of the biggest things I will be needing to get myself there, to earn my tuition and all of the flights and the outreach cost and everything. But yeah, so financial support is one of the big things. I'll be sending a newsletter out every month whilst I'm over there, and prayer support, of course, is such a blessing to keep me safe and just to keep my head cool in such an intense environment.
Perfect. All right, it's beautiful. Okay, thank you. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Wow, we've seen a lot. We've been to lots of places. I'm just coming over here to see what young people have been doing. There's a map on the floor here, and they've been colouring it up and showing where places are. Oh, goodness, there's lots more to go, because the list of where we from this church reach goes on and on and on and on. I tried to make a list, and it's too long to recite. So now I'm going to hand back to Andy for a few words, and then stay around, drink coffee, pray, read materials. Thank you.
Wow, I hope you're feeling quite excited. It's good, isn't it? All these different connections and places around the world. But I was just sitting there thinking about a passage. We sometimes use this word, apostolic. I don't know if you ever come across that word. And I actually believe it, that we are an apostolic church. And what I mean by that is that when Jesus, one of those final conversations that Alan was talking about at the beginning, he had a final conversation with his disciples. And in one of them, it's in John 20, he says to his disciples, he says this. He says, let me find it. There you go. He says in verse 21, as the Father has sent me, so I am sending you. And some of us in this room, God is going to send us just across the street. And that's okay. He'll just send us across the street to talk to somebody. It might be a neighbor, it might be a friend, somebody at work. And some of us, he's going to send us to other parts of the world. And we'll get on a plane, and we'll maybe go from England to Uganda or to Hungary or somewhere in the Middle East, wherever it might be. And that's okay. But we're all sent. We're all sent ones. And because we're all sent ones, we are apostolic because the word apostle means sent one. That's the simple definition of being an apostle or being apostolic. So I just feel like it's really exciting. So as you go into this week, this week, just go as a sent one. And remember those who've been sent by HBC a little bit more officially than the ones that we've been talking about, who are living their lives in another part of the country, because the world is really close. Something happened to us this week, Sue. We had a message, and this is where WhatsApp is actually quite a good app. Sometimes it can be a bit of a pain in the neck app, if I'm honest, because I get so many messages, because I'm in so many groups, like maybe you are. But actually, we got a message. Is one of the people that we support. She lives in the Middle East at the moment. Can't say where because it's quite sensitive. But she sends a message on WhatsApp and say, I'm praying for Sue. She's on my prayer list this week, today. Can I pray for you? Anything I can pray for? Sue sends a little message back. And then the next minute, or the next day, there's a voice message on WhatsApp, because you can do that. I don't know if you know that, on WhatsApp. And it's Lucy's voice that we can hear recorded in this Middle Eastern part of the world coming through. That's the world we're connected to, isn't it? So you can stay really connected to people who are in Hungary, Uganda, or wherever, as well as the person who lives next door across the street.